This is The Extra Point, an Arizona's Family Originals podcast, sponsored by your Phoenix Suns.
Well, wherever you are and however you may be accessing The Extra Point on Arizona's Family, we hope you are getting some downtime this holiday season to reflect on a wonderful 2023 and getting set to look forward to what's in store in 2024. Oh, what a sports year it has been here in the Valley of the Sun. Thank you for joining us today as we look back and we look ahead, and you can join us every night here on Arizona's Family at 10:35 for The Extra Point, the television show, as we recap it day to day here in a very, very busy sports landscape here in Phoenix, Arizona. So my name is Mark McClune. Nick King, Julia Lopez getting some much-deserved time off this holiday season, along with our fine producer, Matt Hippie. But behind the glass, the one, the only, Joe Ferris. You can only hear, you can't see him. Joe, ho, 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 Merry Christmas here. You edit all of the video that goes into our shows every night here and do such a wonderful job. As you look back on the year 2023, what are you left with here as you reflect on 2023 here in Phoenix, Arizona sports?
It was a big year in Phoenix sports. A lot of stories and topics we were just going over that we'll go over later today, and you just realize the amount and the scope, the broad scope of topics in sports that we all got to cover here. It was pretty great.
Yeah, I don't think we ever had a slow day, a slow show where we were looking for things to add to the show. I think we had to cut more things out of the show. So we're gonna list some of our top stories of the year here, some honorable mentions, and also get some predictions from some friends of the show here for 2024. So let's get right to it. Our number one story of the year in Arizona sports from our perspective was the Diamondbacks going to the World Series, coming out of nowhere and playing into November. This is a franchise that lost 110 games 2 years ago. Torey Lovullo was on the hot seat, but they were able to turn things around with a young core and some pitching that came alive at the right time. Zach Gallen, Merrill Kelly, and Brandon Pfaadt. If they would have had maybe one more starter, maybe they get a couple more wins against the Texas Rangers, and they're hoisting a victory banner, a championship banner, but still a run to the World Series for the Arizona Diamondbacks was something that none of us expected, even manager Torey Lovullo.
I got to make sure that I mention how proud I am of this team and how proud I am of this group that stuck together, that stayed connected in good and bad times, never doubted what our overall goal was, and that was to win a baseball game today, and it landed us in November. Who would have ever thought that we would have an extra month of baseball and we would play as far as we did into the season? I'm really proud of that.
Yeah, really proud of that. I think the Valley really was proud of the Diamondbacks, the way they turned things around. You wish there could have been more to celebrate during the World Series, but you think about beating the Brewers and the Dodgers and going to Philly in the last two games and winning the last two games in hostile Philadelphia to go to the World Series, and what this franchise was able to accomplish, signing Lourdes Gurriel here right before Christmas. They're loaded up. I mean, the Dodgers are spending money like it's going out of style, but it's going to be very fun to watch to see if the Diamondbacks can compete for another championship here in 2024. So from the Diamondbacks to our second story that we've picked out here, and that is the end of an era, the end of two eras when it comes to sports broadcasting here in the great state of Arizona. So Al McCoy, the voice of the Phoenix Suns for over a half century, hung up his mic in 2023, and so did Greg Schulte, the original voice of the Arizona Diamondbacks. And as we move into a new era here, we were there for the final days and their final calls of their respective franchises.
There's a saying, don't cry because it's over, smile because it happened. Right now, there's a little bit of both for me. And so one last time, for Leo Gilmartin, for Chris Garagiola, for Tom Candiotti, I'm Greg Schulte. We say so long for now.
I just want to say thank you for 51 wonderful years and allowing me to bring the story of the Suns and the NBA to you. It's been a great ride.
Yeah, getting a little emotional hearing those two gentlemen who have been gentlemen and always had time to talk to us here on Arizona's Family sign off for one final time. We wish them well in retirement. We've seen them out in the community some, and I know they speak on the phone once a week just to check in with each other, as Greg was once Al McCoy's partner calling Suns games, but his heart was in baseball growing up in St. Louis and got to do that job since when the franchise debuted back in 1998. So from the end of an era there to the beginning of a new era with the Phoenix Suns, and this one was kind of when you look at the Phoenix Suns over the past 15 years or so in the run to the 2021 NBA Finals and what that meant, there was still a cloud over the franchise after allegations of mistreatment inside the franchise with owner Robert Sarver and an NBA investigation. That NBA investigation deemed that he had acted inappropriately. Robert Sarver sold the team. Matt Ishbia came in Super Bowl week and was named the owner of the franchise and met the media. And if it wasn't busy enough, Super Bowl week, we had a news conference for a new owner of the Phoenix Suns. So Matt Ishbia sat down with us here on Arizona's Family and talked about his vision for the Phoenix Suns going forward and what it would mean to bring a championship parade to the streets of downtown Phoenix.
We're going to do that. That's my job as one of the owners. My job is I work for the community, right? So the Mercury and the Suns, there's no question that's the focus. And it will happen tomorrow? I don't know. We're going to try. We're going to try every single day to try to be competing at that level. But we're going to do that. And I know that's hard to do and hard to say. But I'm fine taking that accountability and responsibility to bringing that to the Valley. I love to compete. And so basketball was always that avenue, and that turned into mortgage. And I love it. And now I'm competing back into basketball.
Yeah, and Ishbia was a walk-on on the Michigan State team that won the national championship back in the year 2000. He didn't waste any time changing the face and the faces on the franchise and turning things over, and really kind of it upset the apple cart for some Suns fans who didn't want to see it happen, and other Suns fans said it was time after they had knocked at the door of an NBA championship and didn't get it done, and that's bringing in Kevin Durant. So that was another February deal where it was another big story. It was one where we were in the studio talking about it all day here on Arizona's Family, podcasting about it, and it happened Super Bowl week when the trade was announced, and we ran in here after doing our Super Bowl coverage and did a late night podcast with our friend Flex from Jersey. Kevin Durant was going to be the Phoenix Sun, and that's something that had been rumored about since the NBA draft the previous summer. So Durant was introduced to the media on February the 17th, and here's what he had to say. Immediately connecting with the fan base. He didn't waste any time knowing exactly what Suns fans were looking for and setting his sights on trying to deliver it.
This fan base is looking forward to cheering for a winner. So I want to go out there and prove every night that we got a chance to win. And, that starts with the work we put in every day in practice.
Yeah, and as we tape this a couple days before Christmas here, it's the Phoenix Suns are off to a slow start this season, but they do say the NBA season doesn't start until Christmas Day. So let's try to get Bradley Beal here healthy and see what the Suns can do. They're definitely going to need to play better defense, shoot more threes, and come together as a team. So, yeah, that was Super Bowl week, and the Suns kind of stole the headlines, but also we did have the Super Bowl here in town as Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs defeated the Philadelphia Eagles. The Cardinals, obviously not in that game, but they did have a coach in that game, a coach in waiting. Jonathan Gannon was the defensive coordinator for the Eagles in that game. He stayed over a couple days after the game, did not go back to Philadelphia with the team, and was hired, and he joined us here on Arizona's Family the day he was hired to talk about his perspective on team building and how he was going to get the team to take on his identity.
The players have to have a very clear understanding of what winning behavior looks like, and we will show them examples of good and bad. And then once we get on the grass, then we come back in here and we'll go through the tape all together and say this is right or this is wrong. And the other thing with accountability and the players will know this, it's not a negative term. It's really a positive term in my mind. And you want to be accountable to yourself and your teammate because that's what we need to do to win games.
Yeah, the Cardinals haven't won many games so far in 2023, but I think if you watch them, and we've talked a lot about this on these very airwaves, you can see a team that is building something for a future, and you know that the coaches that are teaching know how to win football games. They do not have the talent base right now to win football games, but they're in every game. Beating Pittsburgh on the road earlier in December was indicative of that. They went right down the field against one of the best defenses in football, the San Francisco 49ers, and scored in the opening possession. Kyler Murray coming back from the ACL injury, in our mind, he's looked like a franchise quarterback. So when we do this show in 2024, I think there's going to be more wins to talk about for the Arizona Cardinals. We shall see what they will do with a potentially top 5 draft pick in 2024. So our next story was maybe the biggest story internationally when it comes to sports, and that was the Brittney Griner returning to the floor. We were there that night in Los Angeles. That was on May the 19th. Our Julia Lopez went over and was courtside for that as Griner made her return after being detained in Russia and arrested and sent away to a work prison camp. And she did not play basketball for over a year, and it was a story that just kind of rocked the WNBA world and the sports world, knowing that one of the best athletes in America was imprisoned in a foreign country. But she came home. She returned to play basketball. I don't think she lived up to her own expectations of how she wanted to play. The Mercury didn't have a great season, but Brittney scheduled to be back in 2024. And here's what she had to say when she returned to the floor on May 19th about returning to play basketball and appreciating the little things.
I appreciate everything a little bit more. All the little small moments that, I used to just oh, I'm so tired. Oh, I don't want to go to practice today, or oh, this, that. I think that has changed, honestly. Just appreciating everything, because, tomorrow's not guaranteed. You don't know what it's going to look like. So I think that's kind of how it changed a little bit.
Yeah, and taking a year off from playing a professional sport, it's hard to get back and really pick up where you left off. And the Mercury in 2021 followed the Suns and were able to play for a WNBA title. Weren't able to hoist the championship banner as well. But you do wonder if the Mercury could get back there with this top 3 pick. And Diana Taurasi is set to come back for another season. The greatest of all time to do it. Scored 10,000 points this year. Her 10,000th point. We were there for that on Arizona's Family. And This is a league where you can turn things around pretty quick. Nick Urin has been hired as the Mercury GM, and he helped architect the Golden State Warriors. So that's going to be an interesting story to watch here in 2024. All right, and we did have one championship here in the Valley of the Sun to celebrate in 2023, and that was a Phoenix Rising team that came out of nowhere, played on the road, came back from deficits 3 straight times to win in October, and that was one that really set the newsroom on fire in a celebration. It was a game-winning save, and they played in Charleston, South Carolina, right as the temperatures were changing. It was a cold night. It was a Sunday night, and Rising able to hoist the championship banner and celebrate in downtown Phoenix a championship for the Valley of the Sun.
Derek Dodson. Oh, no! Phoenix wins it! Their first championship crown!
It's amazing. We really do have the best fans in the league, and they've been supporting us through thick and thin throughout the whole year and stuff. So to be able to repay them back with the championship and celebrate with them, it's really important.
All right, that was Panos Armonakis of Phoenix Rising talking about celebrating the championship. Joe, I'm still trying to figure out why the announcer said, "Oh no, Phoenix wins it." Was he maybe not rooting for them?
No, I think it was, "Oh no, he missed it." Like, like it was not a goal. Usually penalties are pretty easy to score, and they needed, I think they went down 2-0 in the penalty shootout.
That's right.
And then they scored their 3, and Columbus missed the last one, and that was it.
Yeah, what an absolute just thriller. And that's what we love about Arizona sports. We were talking about that with Nick King and Julia Lopez on our end of the year television special about the surprises and when a team has a surprise run to a championship, the way it kind of brings the Valley really together. So here's some other honorable mention stories, Joe. Tell us if we missed anything. Okay, so Suns and Mercury on our air. That's made that you've gotten a lot busier knowing that we're going to have the Suns and Mercury play on 3TV and Arizona's Family Sports.
Yeah, and the season started, in October, and that's when the D-backs were making their run, and it was a long haul of days where it was just like nonstop. Like, okay, there's no playoff game, but we have a Suns game, and it's all brand new. The Suns on our air. We weren't quite sure how we're going to handle things. I think we've kind of calmed that down a little bit now, a couple months in, but to start the season with the D-backs run, it was a wild time.
No, it certainly was. So was Super Bowl week. I'm still tired from Super Bowl week. I'm sure you are as well. I would put that on. I mean, it was a classic finish. It was a last-second finish. As far as just entertaining Super Bowls go, where would you rank that one?
No, it was up there. There's two teams that really couldn't stop each other, and then Kansas City, got fortunate with a penalty call at the end to drain the clock, and Philly couldn't come back and win. But it was an entertaining game, and I think it's up, top 10 entertaining Super Bowls.
I think so too, and I think if Jalen Hurts has a little more time there, if there wasn't that hold on Bradbury, you might be talking about the Eagles winning a Super Bowl instead of the Chiefs. Maybe we'll get a rematch this year. Maybe we'll get the Valley's own Brock Purdy playing in the Super Bowl. That's going to be something fun to watch. Other stories. All right, keep me honest here, Joe. We got the Arizona Wildcats losing to Princeton in the first round. That's probably your favorite story of the year.
That was one of the top ones.
Sun Devil Joe. All right, GCU making the tournament, playing in the same venue as Arizona State. That was fun. The Cactus League returning in full force. It had not been at full force since COVID, and I think I'm looking forward to seeing what the economic impact is and seeing how many more spring break trips are planned out here. When you went to the Cactus League in 2022, did you notice, like I noticed, that there just weren't as many people?
Yeah, you kind of noticed during the week there's not as many, and I think it was just people unsure of to come back or not and plan those trips. And then this last year, the day games seemed full, and it was definitely back in full force.
Yeah, no, for sure. And hey, the WM Phoenix Open, that was back in full force. That was an elevated event. Scotty Scheffler, the University of Texas alum, winning for a second time. He'll go for a three-peat here in 2024. And he'd be the first guy to do that since Arnold Palmer, so that's something to watch. It's also something to watch if LIV has its golf tournament at the same time in Las Vegas, or if the two sides merge. There's a December 31st deadline that we are watching like a hawk. Other stories, the Arizona Rattlers moving to Glendale to play in 2024. The Coyotes getting a no vote in Tempe for their arena. They have to stay at Mullet Arena on the campus of Arizona State, a college arena. So the future of the Coyotes, they have said over and over, and you can actually listen to it on the podcast here, as Javier Gutierrez, the team president in studio, says they're staying in Arizona, and they should have an announcement about a new arena after the first of the year. We're curious, as you are, where that's going to be. There are a couple different ideas there. North Scottsdale, South Scottsdale, Mesa. They want to stay in the East Valley, so that's one we're watching. U of A football having kind of a renaissance here, going to the Alamo Bowl. Jed Fish really building something down there. Kenny Dillingham. Joe, as a Sun Devil fan, what were your takeaways from the Kenny Dillingham first year as the football coach for the Sun Devils?
It was definitely a little rocky. The quarterback, an injury situation with the line and the quarterback was bad, and Kenny is still like a young coach, so a couple of times he went for it too many times on fourth down, I think, and that hurt. But we knew it wouldn't be pretty. I think it was a little uglier than people might have thought, and especially going to games. I went to 2 at the end of the season, and you're watching a tight end take snaps at quarterback. It's kind of rough, and you're going against Oregon and Arizona. So, but I'm encouraged with how he's gotten players to come in the portal. He's got Division I players that want to come here, some exciting athletes, and then getting high school kids. I think they're recruiting well. I think that UCLA win did a lot.
Yeah, with the swinging gate. That to me showed Kenny Dillingham knows how to win football games as well.
Even, they competed against USC before USC became, kind of crumbled.
Yeah.
And that was a competitive game that everyone thought was going to be a blowout. So there were signs that he knows what he's doing, and that is what is encouraging. And also I think it's encouraging going to the Big 12.
Yeah.
There aren't any huge football powers, and that will be fun and interesting, I think, too.
Yeah, I mean, that's another monster sports story here that spent a large part of our time. ASU, U of A, going to the middle part of the country and playing the TCUs of the world and the Kansases in basketball and what that's going to look like. It's a new world of NIL. The death of the Pac-12 is still stunning to me. It's sad. I think going over to Los Angeles and going up to the Bay Area and going to Oregon and going to Washington and going to Salt Lake City and Boulder, Colorado. That just kind of fit. So it's going to be a new world here in 2024, not having the Pac-12, and God bless Washington State and Oregon State if they can ever put it back together, because they will reap the benefits of that with a court case saying that they basically own the conference and the likeness now.
I think I grew up on the West Coast in California and San Francisco area, and it's not a big college football town that's kind of a front-running fan. Like, oh, Stanford's winning, I'll root for them. Oh, Cal's winning, I'll root for them. But you still watched games, and then obviously like the Rose Bowl was something special, right? That you would sit and watch with your family. A beautiful day in LA, and you got to see usually the Pac-12 team, Pac-10, Pac-12 team beat up a Big Ten team, and that's something I'll miss. Is just, I think, how huge it was for a West Coast kid watching a West Coast team play in the Rose Bowl.
Right. You would have loved to see the Sun Devils. And at least the Sun Devils got there and played a classic against Ohio State back with Pat Tillman and Jake Plummer, who's been on this show if you want to go back and look at some of the previous episodes. But the Wildcats never got there. And I know that's for Sun Devil fans, they like to remind them of that.
Roses don't grow in Tucson.
All right, well, turning our attention to high school football, other big stories. Liberty winning the Open Division title after knocking at the door for a couple years. Just a dominant win. They've built a powerhouse over there on the west side, and your hat off to Navi Bruzan and company. In my mind, one of the great Arizona high school football players winning an Open Division title. Jersey Robinson and Desert Vista, the girls, they went right through everybody in the Open Division. You saw both the football and the basketball games on Arizona's Family. Jersey has since transferred to Southern California to play. She's going to be in the WNBA. She joined us on the set afterwards, and as a freshman, she takes your breath away how good she is at basketball and how much she was able to just dominate Arizona girls high school basketball. Another great athlete, Dylan Raiola, transferring. He was the Chandler quarterback. He transferred to Pinnacle. Then he left to go to high school in Georgia because he was committed to the University of Georgia after decommitting from Ohio State. He has since flipped his commitment and is going to Nebraska, where his dad played, and money is the name of the game there. Good kid. We've had him on these very airwaves. But, man, a lot of moving around. If you're a high-level athlete, it is a new world for sure. And, you just yes right now means maybe, 2 weeks from now, Joe?
Yeah, and who knew Dylan was such a poet, too? So
that's right.
That was fun. But I think it's interesting, too. Like, you see college football players transferring left and right, and now high school players transfer left and right. Like, that happened a lot, but now I think it's happening even more. And, like, to transfer to Pinnacle and not even play a game, like, were you even at Pinnacle?
Right.
He's gone. He's in Georgia, so.
Yeah, it's definitely not the high school experience I had. I didn't know I could leave. That might have changed everything. So Diana Taurasi's 10,000 points. That was a fun night. That was live on the air. The rise of Brock Purdy. Kyler Murray coming back from ACL surgery. Corbin Carroll winning the Rookie of the Year. Should that have been on our sound list here?
It should have. He's just an exciting player, and I think going back to like the D-backs run with a lot of these young. We would call them baby backs back in the office, and to see them succeed, and even my dad, who's a diehard Giants fan, like texted, he's like, I wish we had half the player Corbin Carroll was.
Right.
And fun, exciting, runs, plays hard, and that I think trickles down everywhere. I saw it as a Giants fan with Hunter Pence, and you just appreciate running out a ground ball like so much because he's trying hard, and maybe he gets a couple extra infield singles and gets on base. So I think Corbin Carroll, he's an awesome player. You can't doubt that.
Yeah, and Hunter Pence was trained by the Astros, and they let him go. I'm still bitter about that. The Budda Baker trade request, that was a huge story. He's back. He's playing. He played with an upset stomach last week, had some really funny sound on our television show last night about playing with an upset stomach and all white uniforms. We'll let you go back on, view it and look that one up as you can watch all of our shows that are archived there for a week. Josh Dobbs playing quarterback for the Cardinals a week after being traded over because Colt McCoy's elbow was hurt. That's still one of the most incredible things I've seen, to be able to step in on opening day and lead a franchise. I feel like he's kind of run out of gas this year with the Vikings, but I mean, beating the Dallas Cowboys, that's one of the stunners of the year for me, Joe.
Well, and he actually did it twice because he had to go right away into Minnesota and play, and he won a couple games there. So maybe that's just his forte. Just surprising teams, but interesting decision to make that trade and start him right away, because they made the trade. It's like, well, who's going to be the quarterback? And, couple turnovers here and there. Maybe they win a couple more games and he's still here. But an interesting storyline to start the football season for sure.
No, for sure. And then Kyler Murray coming back, and will they keep him in 2024? Other stories: DeAndre Ayton traded, Monty Williams fired, Chris Paul traded. Those, I mean, if you would have told me that a year ago, I would have. I would have said I just didn't think it was going to happen. I thought they were going to ride with this team for a while, and you saw the return of Mikal Bridges and Cam Johnson earlier in December what that franchise meant to this town. The Suns, as it was constructed in the 2021 NBA Finals run, I don't know if people have really connected with Kevin Durant yet. I feel like there's still some like ex-girlfriend syndrome there, and they haven't been swept off their feet.
Yeah, and then there is a difference when you see players grow and get better and better, and then you get to see them enjoy the fruits of their labor, and then they're just traded away for a superstar. I as a Warrior fan, I experienced the Kevin Durant train, and I've always been a Kevin Durant fan from back to his Thunder days,
his University of Texas days.
Yeah, I always thought he was an interesting looking player, and then James Harden played for the Thunder, so I watched a lot of their games, and then obviously you're like, Kevin Durant is amazing. And then he came to the Warriors, and I bought in right away. And I think the Warriors fans definitely embraced him. And then he just wanted out, and he left. And I still think that might be a mistake in his eyes that he won't admit for a while. But he is a special player, and I think eventually Suns fans will warm up to him.
I wonder if he's getting old.
If he brings a championship here,
yeah,
they'll build a statue.
Well, we shall see. That the Suns franchise, that could be the story in 2024 if they get it right, a Suns championship, and that would be number one on the list. So that's a look back at 2023. I think we got it all covered. Let's get some predictions for 2024, and let's start with our Nick King and Julia Lopez from our end of the year very special Extra Point Christmas special on Arizona's Family Television.
Can't wait to see the Suns. What's going to happen? Because it ain't great right now. Does the big three come together? Do they stay healthy? Is there a playoff run? That's what I'm looking forward to.
And I got to say, the Diamondbacks, NL West, that is going to be so much fun to watch.
All right, so not exactly going out on a limb and saying that the Suns are going to win a championship in 2024, or the Diamondbacks will, but that's definitely what we're looking forward to. Let's bring in some other friends of the show. We've had lots of guests here on the podcast over the past year. One man who's never afraid to come on this podcast and speak his mind. I believe this is his 80th appearance this year. I'm going to need to check the math. The one, the only, Greg Esposito from PHNX joining us. And Espo, our goal in 2024 is to use more sound effects on the show and see if that maybe gets our numbers up. So yes, we thought you could use a standing ovation there. Thanks so much for your time, and we hope you're having a happy holiday season. Have you finished your Christmas shopping yet?
No, I'll finish it on the 24th. I'm a big believer in procrastination is the best thing. So I will maybe around 6 o'clock when stores are closing on the 24th. That's probably when I'll get it done. Yeah,
that's about on brand. I think that's why we get along so well. I went to Costco today, by the way, and the line was like to the back of the store just to check out. So that's I will not be going back to Costco. But we ran in here today to do the kind of end of the year, look back at 2023, look ahead to 2024. And as you look back on the sports year that was 2023 in the Valley of the Sun, what jumps out to you?
things being close but not being able to finish the job. I mean, the Diamondbacks were an unbelievable surprise, and you can't really hold it against them for, not winning it all when they weren't even in some ways expected to make the playoffs. The Suns getting Kevin Durant, everybody thought that was going to be what they needed, and it has proven to not be the case yet. Obviously, couldn't get it done against the Nuggets. Slow start to this year. It's been rough in that terms, and then you look at the Cardinals, and they're not close. It's been a weird year. There's hope, and yet there's pessimism. I guess that's basically Arizona sports in a nutshell, year after year.
That's show business. You keep the people coming back for more. So give us something to come back for more to your next appearance here on the Extra Point and on your show daily on PHNX. What's a bold prediction you maybe have for Phoenix Sports 2024?
I think the Diamondbacks are better this upcoming year in 2024 than they were in 2023. I think the Suns will, one way or another, keep our attention, whether it's a complete flameout or they find their way, and we're talking about planning a championship parade in June. And I think the Cardinals are going to see a big turnaround. I think the Coyotes find a home. I think there's a lot of good things to come in 2024. Unfortunately, the team I cover is the one that I have to hold my breath the hardest for and hope that they find their way.
All right, no bold predictions about the Suns, but yeah, it's not Christmas Day yet as we're taping this, so the season hasn't officially started. But a very Merry Christmas and Happy New Year to you and your family, and thank you for all your time this year.
To you and yours, Mark, and I look forward to many more appearances in 2024.
So our next guest, let's get another perspective and a prediction here from the only Derek Hagan. You can see him on the Arizona's Family post-game shows following Cardinal games. Offered a perspective with a smile. It was a tough year for the Cardinals, but played in the NFL, played for the Sun Devils, and definitely an opinion that we value here in the Valley of the Sun when it comes to sports. And Derek, as you look at 2023, how would you sum up what we just saw as sports fans here in Arizona?
Well, I think it's been a roller coaster. It's been up and down, obviously, for football with the Sun Devils and the Cardinals. And when you look at the Suns, all the hype that they got coming into the season and possibly getting to a championship game. And then, obviously to hang our hats to the D-backs, that was, very underrated team. And for them to make it to the World Series came up short, but did a lot of great things for the Valley.
As you look ahead to 2024, are there any bold predictions?
Oh, man. Well, I can tell you one thing. The Cardinals and the Sun Devils definitely will both be over 500 come next season. So we'll start there.
There we go. And we can only hope that the Phoenix Suns can figure out maybe how to play defense and shoot threes. If you got any gas left in the tank, you were a good were you a basketball player, baseball player, along with football? What was your other sports of choice?
High school, I played them all: basketball, baseball, football, and I was actually a better baseball player than football player growing up as a young kid. That was my first love, was baseball. So.
Well, and now a real estate star. So give us a prediction in the real estate world. What do we have coming our way here in 2024?
Man, you know what? I think everybody's anxious to see where these rates are going to drop, if they're going to drop or not. Obviously we're sitting in the mid sixes right now, and my prediction sometime next year will be in the fives. And if there's a lot of buyers that's been out there on the fence and thinking about getting in the market, your opportunity will be coming around very soon. But then you'll be dealing with many other people in the market as well that are looking forward to getting into a new home as well.
All right, we need to start the real estate podcast in 2024. So, hey.
I'm all for it.
All right. We got plenty of room here at the table. Hey, thanks so much for all your time this year. Happy holidays, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year to you and your family, and look forward to seeing you in 2024.
Thank you. Happy New Year's and Merry Christmas to you guys as well.
All right. Let's get another prediction and a perspective from the fabulous Jody Jackson, who is a juggernaut right now in Valley Sports. She's on the radio. She's on television. And my prediction for 2024 is that Jody Jackson is going to continue to dominate the local airwaves. Jody, happy holidays. Thanks for checking in. Have you done all your Christmas shopping?
Merry Christmas, Mark. Thank you for the fantastic intro. I'm pretty much done.
Right. Just make a trip up to Colorado to pick a couple things up, maybe cover a hockey game?
Just a little quick trip to Denver, be back, like Santa. I might cross paths with Santa in the middle of the night, and I'll be back for Christmas.
Awesome. We look forward to your tweet, you and Santa high in the sky. All right, so 2023 as an Arizona sports year, how would you put it into perspective based upon previous sports years that you've covered here in Valley Sports?
Well, Mark, and I'm sure if you talk to other people, they're probably going to say the same thing, even though, I know I obviously am on the Diamondbacks beat. I think we were all so blown away at the Diamondbacks playoff run. So that stands above everything else. There were some other cool moments, of course, in sports. But the Diamondbacks, to me, stand out. Not only did they start out the season really strong, but then after kind of a wacky September, made that playoff run, beating the Dodgers, beating the Phillies, and then going to the World Series. So for me, I was hopeful they would maybe make that deep playoff run next year. I didn't really think it would come this year, but it did, and that made it all that much more sweet when it was a surprise.
Absolutely, and I think you go back to the Suns run in 2021, Diamondbacks 2017, Cardinals run to the Super Bowl. You've been there for it all. Coyotes run to the Western Conference Finals in 2012. The surprise run is definitely something the Valley. It's like a fun surprise for the Valley that we all talk about for years to come. So, what as you look into your crystal ball here for 2024, what do you expect out of Valley Sports? What's a bold prediction from Jody Jackson?
Well, as well as I do, Mark, from being here in the Valley covering sports for a very long time, that you can always expect the unexpected. So, I don't really know exactly what's going to happen as far as hey, we'd all love to see the D-backs go back to the World Series. We all know that's hard to do. I'm going to throw out one. I'm going to throw out Zach Gallen and Merrill Kelly competing for that Cy Young Award. I feel like, Zach Gallen's been knocking on the door. Sports team-wise, I'm going to go with a lot of positivity this Christmas and hope for playoffs for all 4 teams. How about that for a dose of sunshine on this winter day here in the Valley? But, yeah, I know. I feel like, everyone expects the Suns and now the Diamondbacks to make the playoffs. I feel like the Coyotes will, and then the Cardinals, that's going to be the one that's kind of going out on a limb for me, but wouldn't that be amazing? Wouldn't that be amazing if they were able to make the playoffs as well?
Well, if they add a new receiver like Marvin Harrison Jr., I could see this thing flipping pretty quick if they can get what do you think the biggest issue is there? Getting the dudes on defense? What's Monty really got to do in the draft, Monty Ossenfort, to get this talent level on the roster where it needs to be?
Well, Mark, they do need a lot of bodies on defense. They have been fighting the good fight out there, but they are undermanned there. They've had a lot of injuries, so they're going to need a lot. They're going to need a lot on the D-line, a lot in the secondary. But Marvin Harrison Jr., I think, would be the kind of addition that could flip this thing quickly and add a weapon on offense. I think they've had some pleasant surprises in Trey McBride and even the offensive line. And then what James Conner can do. Kyler Murray needs to take another step forward as well. But, yeah, I think if they can get that defense shored up and maybe get a pass rusher that they can really count on to disrupt things and a cornerback or two, it could turn quickly.
All right. Well, we're wishing for Marvin Harrison Jr. for Christmas. I guess that's on both of our lists here. And thank you for your time. Thank you for your perspective and all the passion you put into Valley Sports. A very Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, Happy Holiday Season to you and your family.
Same to you, Mark, to you and April and the boys. Have a great Christmas.
One final prediction here in our end of the year sports extravaganza here in the Extra Point Podcast, looking back at 2023, looking ahead to 24. The one, the only, our crack producer, Justin Pierce, who's been filling in admirably all week, doing a great job on the television show. He's got some hot takes that he wanted to share as we've been talking about what we're looking forward to. And I assume this is about your Arizona Wildcats, right?
Pretty close. I would say more going towards the other side of the valley where, Tempe, they have the ASU hockey arena.
Okay.
Let's talk about the pro
hockey
team that's leaving. That's going to be leaving there in a couple of years. The Arizona Coyotes. They're going to be getting their.
Are they moving to San Diego? Is that what you're predicting?
I wish. That would be.
Are the Padres moving to Los Angeles and you'll have no teams in San Diego?
No teams. We'll have San Diego FC by 2025, and that's going to be, it's going to be Soccer City. It's going to be great. It's going to be awesome.
My bold prediction in our lifetime, in my lifetime, if we're lucky enough to live another 30 years, the Chargers will move back to San Diego and will make all of your dreams come true, JP. So
I would hope so.
Okay.
I mean, that we'll see what happens. I mean, a potential ownership change could be in the future. I'm not saying that's going to happen at all, but that's something that has not been ruled out in terms of potential suitors like Jeff Bezos, maybe.
Are you predicting Jeff Bezos is going to buy the Chargers and maybe this television station?
I think in probably 4 years. I'll give it 4 years.
The television station or the Chargers?
The Chargers.
Okay.
The television.
Not that we love great television. I'm just saying. Yeah. Where's the future? We can do a whole speculative podcast in the future of media, and that'll be for 2025.
Definitely.
All right. Your bold prediction on Arizona sports is
the Arizona Coyotes winning the Western Conference Final in 2024.
What?
Winning the Western Conference Final in 2024.
Like playing for the we will have Stanley Cup hockey. Jody Jackson just predicted all 4 major sports are going to the playoffs next year. You're saying the Stanley Cup Finals will be here in Arizona?
It will be at Mullet Arena in Tempe.
Wow.
I don't know if that will actually happen because this will be one of the biggest storylines in potentially all of sports. If there is a team playing in a Big Four sport championship and they're playing in a 5,000 seat arena, that's gonna make national news. Like, people are gonna be talking about this all the way from New York to Florida to everywhere, like Canada. People are going to be begging for the Coyotes franchise up in Canada.
Wow.
So
wow. Hopefully they have their new arena by then, but what makes you think that they have the talent to get this done?
So the talent it's been well-rounded more so this year than it has in previous years. And the reason why is because they've been up and down. They'll have stretches where they'll lose 4 games, win 5 in a row, win 4 in a row. It just really just depends on like how the team is feeling at that time. And baseball, and some people don't know this, but baseball and hockey, they kind of work in similar ways. Like, hot goaltending is going to get you deeper into the playoffs. Great pitching, hot bats are going to get you deep into the postseason, like we saw with the D-backs this past year. So I just think that this team is well balanced all around. They have 12 guys this year with at least 10 points through 30-something games, and they have the depth. You need depth all around to make a championship run.
So you're saying that we'll have the Stanley Cup playoffs here, the Stanley Cup Finals. Do we have a Stanley Cup championship parade?
I don't know. It's going to be tough with some of the teams coming out of the Eastern Conference.
Yeah.
Like Boston has been great all year. Their time is coming. It's tough for underdogs to pull that off in the final. And who knows what the stadium situation will be like too. I know the president and CEO Javier Gutierrez is going to be announcing a new stadium plan by the end of this year and by the start of next year. But it's going to be interesting to see how the Coyotes handle this, how the NHL handles this, how Gary Bettman, who has preached to have this team stay in the desert after all these years and refusing them to relocate to other cities like Houston, Kansas City. So it's going to be
San
interesting.
Diego.
Yeah. It's going to be interesting to see what this franchise can do in terms of making its mark with their stadium situation. So it's going to be a really intriguing storyline for 2024.
All right, that is a bold prediction and a great place to find a landing spot here. Joe, do you agree with our man Showtime JP here?
Big time.
Big time. Is that what we're calling him?
Big time.
Big time. Okay, yeah.
I don't think they'll go all the way to the Stanley Cup final, no, but I do think they have a great shot at making the playoffs, getting in and having some playoff hockey at Mullet, which will be interesting to think, like, as great as they play at Mullet, would they try to find somewhere else to play to sell more tickets?
Oh, will they go back to Glendale?
Like, I don't know if they want to touch
Yeah,
Glendale.
will Matt Ishbia open up his doors?
With playoff basketball.
Right.
Or are you having playoff basketball? Okay,
Yeah.
so there is a lot to look forward to here in 2024 to discuss, and we can't wait to do it each night here on the Extra Point television show, the Extra Point podcast. Thank you for all your support this year. Guys, thank you for all your hard work behind the scenes. For Matt Hippie, for Nick King, for Julia Lopez, for John Gustafson, for Craig Stern, for all the hardworking people who have made us look good. We appreciate it. And to each and every one of you out there, have a very happy and healthy holiday season. And we'll see you back here on Arizona's Family in 2024.